This is Mark Strassman, reporter with Etopia Media's Entertainment News Network. We're about to speak to Ben Rekhi, who's a filmmaker. We're in Santa Monica, California. Welcome to Etopia Media's Entertainment News Network.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here in Santa Monica with the plants back here.
We're going to be talking about your film, Waterborne. Why don't you give us a little bit about your background before you got involved in that, other films, career paths,
Sure.
And so on.
I'd been sort of doing backyard films ever since I was like 10, 12 years old up in Northern California, and we were sort of at a special time in the Silicon Valley where Apple and Adobe Premiere and a lot of these online editing was sort of first breaking through in the early to mid 90s. And at that time, my friend Peter Wu and I were making like a lot of Indiana Jones films and Star Wars films, and we utilized the technology that was coming out, and we're doing like highly advanced special effects when we were pretty young, and now that's become a lot more commonplace. But luckily, we're sort of at the tipping point of that whole digital revolution. And then from there, we made a feature film in high school called Get 'Em that was like a mafia film about cops and the mob and stuff that we spent about a year on and rented a local movie theater for. And that was sort of the point at which my parents said, okay, you're serious about this and you can go to film school. So I went to NYU Film and made a bunch of shorts and music videos. I did some work in India. I worked on a few feature films as summer internships. I worked on Oh Brother, Where Art Thou with the Coen brothers, and sort of met George Clooney there and kept in touch with his people, and was hired to work on Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. I did the behind the scenes for the DVD on that film, which both were incredible experiences. I mean, working on a set like that was, much more than 4 years of film school in terms of training. And then after school, we had made a film in school called Just One that was a film about graffiti artists, and my partner Adam Lowe had developed it into a feature film script, and we had the short as sort of a selling tool and the script. And I came on to produce, and Adam directed, and we went out and fundraised, and between like 10 investors raised the budget and produced our first film, Bomb the System. And that sort of went to like 30 film festivals, and we sold it to Palm Pictures in the US, and it's out on DVD now. And we sold it in a few other foreign territories, and it was nominated for an Independent Spirit Award for Best First Feature, and that was definitely took us to the next level of filmmaking. And then from there, we kept the momentum going and did Waterborne. And I've just finished our third film, which is called Car Babes. It's a 35mm comedy about car salesmen.
Okay, we're going to concentrate on Waterborne. Tell us about the genesis of the idea for it.
Actually, I just turned out I was really, really thirsty one day. And I've been fascinated with water politics and water rights for some time now, and I've known for years that there was a story in there about water. And I always had this vision of a family sitting around a dining table looking at a glass of water, and everyone's dying of thirst, but they can't drink the water. And it wasn't until I was on a bike ride with my dad, and we were at the top of this dam, and on one side was this huge body of water, and on the other side was the community that the reservoir served. And it's sort of, if there's ever a moment in your life where you have an epiphany, that was it for me. And I sort of realized what would happen if you took away the water from these people. You always take for granted that the water's going to be there when you turn on the tap. And so as I was riding the bike home, the idea of water terrorism sort of really drove it home, and I just started researching voraciously from there. And then my writing partner, John Campo, I took the idea to him, and we developed it into a short screenplay. It was about 30 pages long. And Campo is someone that is a fascinating guy. He's also my writing partner on the new script that we're writing about Garbage Men. And then I went on to develop the feature film version on my own. And made the film from there.
Okay, where'd the financing come from?
Financing is between 5 investors, mostly out of the Silicon Valley, a few people in the Indian community, because we were able to secure Shabana Azmi, who's a pretty renowned actress in India and also a member of parliament out there. And so we raised together $350,000 and did the film through private equity.
Talk about the casting.
The casting of Waterborne was actually a tricky scenario in and of itself. There's 3 different storylines, so there's a lot of, it's like casting 3 different films. And we were working with a casting director initially who brought us a few people that we really liked, Chris Masterson, Noah Segan. And then a few people came to it through other means. Chris Berry, who plays the younger military Private was brought to us by our producer. He was a friend of hers, and Jake Muxworthy, who plays the lead of Bodhi, was brought to us by other producer Taylor Phillips. So it was pretty much any which way that you can find people for a film.
You say 3 storylines. This is like 9 Lives, and it's like Crash, and in a way it's even like Syriana, all of which I trace back to Shortcuts by Robert Altman. Mm-hmm. Do you have a conscious relationship with those other films in terms of the structure?
I think that I definitely was fascinated with the idea of integrating 3 different storylines and keeping that the motif of, you know, sort of episodic, like cliffhanging one and then jumping into the next and bring them all together. It was definitely really interesting to me. To me, it's not something I want to do, you know, with each film, but with this one, to show how different people react to the crisis, and to show, like, you know, how some people will respond positively and want to help each other, and how some people will take it out negatively and just think about themselves. And to show all those different shades in between was something that was really important to me.
In fact, that's showing different perspectives goes all the way back actually to Kurosawa and Rashomon, actually, when you think about it. Talk about the shooting, where you shot it, how long did it take, any interesting anecdotes about problems you had? And so
yeah. We shot the film, we shot Waterborne over the course of 24 days, all over Los Angeles. I mean, we were in everywhere from the Valley to Artesia to, you know, Palmdale, and it was a pretty brutal shoot. I have to say it was not easy, and it was, you know, it really took a toll on everyone involved, and the crew was just incredible and so hardworking, and the cast as well. That, you know, we were like, hey, you want to come to this movie for $5? And everyone was really, like, excited about it, and that really is what made the film. Trying to shoot a film about water terrorism during an orange alert, or, you know, elevated, whatever, you know, the color system is, was definitely something that kind of worked against us in a lot of cases.
How so?
We would try and secure locations, like, you know, talk to the state about shooting at a dam or an aqueduct, and they were like, absolutely not, you know, anything is breach of security. And so there were a couple scenes we actually had to go steal. The aqueduct scene where they catch Don Swayze, brother of Patrick Swayze, stealing water. We actually went to the location that we had sort of just fabricated and went all the way out of. We went to the location and realized that we weren't really welcome there, and we're kind of kicked out of there by the security, the Department of Water and Power. And so we were like, at that point, we were like, well, we can either lose the day or drive another hour further away from LA and try and steal this scene. So everyone was like, screw it, let's go out there, and we went out there. So we did get chased away by the cops a couple of times.
Okay. Talk about the technology. What kind of cameras? Was it shot on film, tape? Talk about that.
Yeah. We shot Waterborne using the 24p cameras, the Panasonic DVX100As, and I was really excited about shooting digital. It was something that I think a lot of people that shoot digital try and make it look like film somehow. And to me, that was something that I definitely didn't want to do. I think that if you go into it feeling like that, you're going to be compromising yourself already. Like, I wish we could shoot film, but since we're shooting digital, let's try and match as best we can. I think if you're going to shoot digital, there's a reason why you should do it, and each story sort of demands that. So we were like, let's try and find something new with digital. I wanted to try and use the capacities and use that as our advantage. So we shot extremely close up to get some of the depth of field in there. We really did a lot of drastic color manipulation. We took it to the DaVinci, put it to Digibeta, did it tape to tape, and really, really pushed the saturation and contrast. And then from there, we actually took the film from standard def to high def and doubled the lines of resolution, which at the time that we did it was one of the first films that had gone that route. But
you were able to double the resolution after you'd shot it?
After we shot it, yeah.
What was involved with that?
There's a box out there called the Terranex that just takes it. It's the standard def is 580 and 580 lines of resolution, and then high def is 1080. So it actually just doubles each line. And a lot of people, they were previously it had been sort of unfounded and tested that this would actually work, would soften the image. To me, the softening I really liked, and the reason we wanted to take it up to HD is that everything is moving in that direction, the projection, the televisions, so we wanted a master that would be suitable for the next, the rest of our lives.
Okay, talking about the editing in terms of the content, was it pretty much all ready to go once you'd finished shooting, or did you have to do a lot of reconfiguration?
I think editing is like rewriting the film, and that's the organic process where the film is made. Our editor, Kerry Lynn, is just incredible. He's a filmmaker himself, someone I knew from NYU, and we edited the film. It was a pretty brutal edit, actually. There was, 80 hours of footage, and that's one of the disadvantages of shooting digital, is that you might get carried away on the set and shoot 10, 15 takes, where with film you keep it to 2 or 3. And there were definitely huge restructural things that we did, moving from scenes from the beginning to the end and vice versa, montages or scenes that were born, or moments in a scene. To me, I found that even working on the set with the actors, we like to improvise a lot and try different lines or different emotional tones. And so the moments that came out in the editing room were these sort of moments between lines where we drew out a look or used eyes to really drive home a point. And that was something that I really learned. And I think that, with Kerry working there and his sort of expertise and his filmmaker approach to it really took the film to the next level.
How about the music? Where did that come from?
Music was composed by longtime friends of mine that are in a band called Dredge that's signed over at Interscope, and they have put out 3 rock albums, and we'd done a lot of work together in short films through college, and even just growing up. They'd scored a couple of shorts that I did, so it was really exciting to be able to bring them a film like this, and I'd done a music video for them through Interscope that I directed, and it was really exciting to be able to keep that working relationship going. And we sort of approached it as, let's try and do this like a traditional theme with a theme song and variations and a love theme, but using new sort of, a combination of like digital technologies, and recorded through GarageBand. But it sounds very large in scope. And Mark and Dino from the band are just incredible guys. They're actually scoring our new film, Car Babes, right now as well.
So overall, was it on time and under budget? How long did it take? How much did it cost altogether?
With an independent film, your sort of timeline is scheduled around which festivals you enter into, and once we got into South by Southwest, which was really exciting, that's when we had a drop-dead date, and so we pulled out all the stops and really, I remember at one point I was sound mixing for 10 hours during the day and then going in color timing for 8 hours at night, and that happened for 2 weeks. And it was pretty brutal, pretty taxing, but we did get the film done on time and pretty much on budget. When you deliver the film to a distributor, there's always those added costs of like creating delivery elements that weren't in the production budget. So I guess in that sense, we were aiming at $270 and we came out around $350.
Okay, before we start talking about the distribution, let's talk about the film. Give us a synopsis and place it in the genre that you think it belongs in.
Sure. I think Waterborne is best described as a fictional account of the aftermath of a terrorist attack in Los Angeles, following 3 different storylines. A Sikh family who runs a convenience store, and the mother raises the price of water during this water shortage and sort of feels the results of that action later. 2 National Guardsmen who are called out to enforce peace during the citywide crisis, and a pair of college students that are trying to get out of the city and find out more about their past history and their friendship than they really set out to learn.
How do you see the relationship between the ideas and the sort of thriller aspect and the personal stories that are involved? And how did you try to convey that in the film?
I think that the exciting part about setting out to do a film like this was it sort of sounds like a really big topic or a huge, almost Hollywood idea. But the appeal for me was showing the very intimate reactions to this crisis. So keeping the cameras really close and sort of focusing on these more personal storylines. And besides, I think the Hollywood approach would have been to have a huge street, shot of like Wilshire Boulevard with thousands of people running away or something like that. But it was exciting and to work with actors and try and pull this story out of it.
So did not having a $40 million budget encourage or give you the opportunity to focus on expressing sort of big problems with on an intimate scale?
Budget constraints were definitely a huge factor in considering the story. I think that when you're sort of put up against the wall financially or time-wise or creatively, you're forced to come up with stuff that you wouldn't normally think of. So those kind of restraints and restrictions can be used as your tools for finding, a more personal story. And when I sat down to develop the feature after I'd written the short with Campo, it came rushing out in a week, and a lot of things that came out in that script were stuff that I didn't even realize that I wanted to say or that I was thinking about. Like the Sikh storyline. A lot of people confuse Sikhs and South Asians as Muslims, or there's just a lot of the awareness isn't as high here. I started to realize, and I'm half Sikh myself, and my mother is American, my dad's Punjabi. So that whole storyline sort of was born out of their relationship and what it must have been like for them when they first got together.
So there's a little autobiography implicit in this.
Yeah, absolutely. And even the storyline with the two college students. I mean, there's people that I knew that a lot of that was based on, and so in a lot of ways, each of the storylines kind of was pulled from personal experience. The National Guard one was something that just fascinated me in the sense that a domestic crisis could occur here, and we always look at the problem as being over there somewhere, and we see the footage from other countries like Iraq and Afghanistan. But the idea of having a war against our own citizens, I think, is very plausible and something that we may have to deal with very soon. And that, to me, was something that I wanted to try to express.
Okay, that's what you were trying to express. Let's talk about how it was distributed. Did you have a deal before you made it for distribution?
No, actually, by nature of being the independent film, we were our first film we'd sold to Palm Pictures in a few different countries, territories as well. So we were trying to take the same route: hire a sales agent, get good reviews, hopefully, and take it to.
So the structure of independent film financing and distribution is that you go to investors and you get the money, but you don't necessarily have a distribution deal when you get the money, do you?
Yeah,
or do you?
No, that's typically, I would say, true independent means that it was independently financed and independently created, and then taken to a distribution outlet from there.
Okay, so it's essentially a bet by the investors that you're going to get distribution.
It's a huge gamble.
Okay, all right. What were the options that you considered in terms of distribution once the film was finished, or as you were getting ready to finish it?
Well, as people may know, the independent film distribution network is extremely competitive, and 90% of independent films don't sell and don't make any money back. So it is a huge gamble for the investors, and to be that 10% that actually has a distribution deal on the table is extremely statistically rare. We were exploring all options. We had our sales team of Lantern Lane, which is David Garber and Rob Lynch, were incredible. They're very realistic about their goals and met them, and we were looking at everything from limited theatrical to DVD to Sundance Channel, which it's going to be premiering on, and a lot of everything in between. For us, we always wanted to find new ways to get the film out there. We actually had a 6-figure advance from a distributor who was giving us some money to put it in theaters ourselves, and then they would take it to DVD, which was an incredible position to be in. And at the same time that was happening, we had been approached by Google Video, or Google, who was developing the technology for the video store.
About when was that?
That was back in late October, early November.
Of 2005?
2005. We had done a screening at Google at the campus up in Mountain View. They do sort of monthly screenings of independent films.
Right.
And we'd screen Waterborne there, and once we made the announcement internally, a few other people from the department contacted us and were asking us what was going on with distribution and what our rights were. And it was really exciting to be, to talk to someone like Google who was doing this, because at the time the iTunes store was taken off and iPod Video was just being released. But we went back to our distributor and we asked them what it would mean if we retained the online digital content rights. That's what they're calling now, digital content rights.
Right.
And the distribution company was adamant that they didn't want us to hold on to those rights, because no one really knows how this is going to affect other ancillary markets.
Now, had you signed the agreement that you had with them already spoken to online digital distribution rights?
There was a clause in the agreement. and it was actually very. The timing was sorry. It was at the 11th hour of negotiations. We'd been negotiating for 3 months, and we finally gotten the deal to a place where it was ready to sign. And then we had this opportunity arise. So we were literally like the day away from signing it, and which is always how it seems to happen with these things. And nothing against. I mean, the offer we had was incredible, and it was a great company, and nothing against the model that is out there working. It's just that sort of the way the model is set up now, the distributors have all the power, and the filmmakers are usually at the mercy of the distributor, sort of begging them to throw pennies at them. And once you sell your film, your rights are gone for 10 or 15 years, and someone else owns it. So the appeal of working with someone like Google was very attractive, the fact that we could maintain ownership of our film.
What happened to the deal you almost entered into with the distributors?
It came down to one or the other. We could keep the digital content rights and go with Google, or go the traditional route and the safe route and take money in the hand.
So you had to take a risk yourself at that point.
It was a huge risk. Yeah, it was a huge risk.
What convinced you to go with Google?
I mean, I guess for us, like I said, the idea of any different way that we can get our film out there is really exciting to me. And I guess as an independent filmmaker, sort of being chewed up by the distribution system a few times over, made me really excited about trying something new and cutting out all of the middlemen and going directly to the consumer. And
this is digital disintermediation, which is what the whole point of the internet in many ways.
Exactly. And it's happening with music. I mean, we looked at the music industry and we saw that there was a model that worked. And this is going to happen with films, and we had the choice to be a pioneer in it or be trying to catch up later.
Okay, tell us the terms of your to the extent that you can, the terms of your pioneering deal with Google. What do you retain? What do they promise? What's the structure of the deal?
Well, I think that the way that the Google video is set up benefits both parties, the consumer and the content providers, immensely. I think what separates them from, say, the iTunes video store is that they've opened up and democratized the marketplace for video producers and film producers. Anyone can put their content up there, set a price, and you as the content creator, you set the retail price, you decide whether you want to have digital rights management control or not, enabling, if you can burn it somewhere or just watch it off your computer, and how long it's going to be on there, how much of it you want to screen for free. So everything is up to the content provider. It's a zero advance deal, but 70-30 revenue split in the back end. So
70 for you, 30 for Google.
70 for the producers. So 70 for us, 30 for Google. Which is this is the first time that Google has done e-commerce. I mean, typically they've got all kinds of software that they provide, and obviously their search engine portal, but this is the first time that they're actually charging for anything. So it was a huge deal for them as well. And I think it falls in line with their vision and their mission statement of really using the internet to democratize all aspects of business.
How did you decide what is the price, and how did you decide on it?
Well, we actually we actually just sort of did crunched the numbers and looked at what we as the producers would be making through typical DVD release, which we are doing as well, coming up in a few weeks here, and what this model can cut the costs on. So by going through the internet, there's a lot of costs that are eliminated. There's no manufacturing, packaging, shipping, shelving, storing. So all of those people, and every step of that way, there's someone that's taking a cut of that money.
And no inventory issues either.
Exactly, which is huge, because a lot of times the way it works with like DVD retail is you ship out 1,000 units and only 200 of them sell. You have to buy back 800 of them. So this was something that we decided if we were going to be saving money, we should pass on those savings to the consumer. And the fact that you can sit at home and just punch a button rather than go out to the video store is just another thing that's instantaneous gratification, I guess.
Yeah, has Google made this deal with other filmmakers so far? You're the only one? You're the first? How's that working?
They've actually, they set this up. There's us and one other film that are the guinea pigs of independent film. And the other film is a documentary, so this is the first sort of independent feature film, and there's an independent doc on there. And then they signed bigger deals with NBA and CBS and stuff, but like I said, to try and prove that the model really does democratize it, we were excited to be, the sort of first film that this was tested out on.
Tell people where they can go to find the film and at this point.
Yeah, it's actually currently it's located on the Google Video homepage. So if you go to video.google.com, you'll see a direct link to it there.
In fact, it's in the lower right-hand corner, about two from the side, along with a lot of television reruns and NBA options.
Exactly, and so the visibility we've gotten is tremendous, and I think part of that reason is there's been a lot of speculation as to whether this will work, and in many ways this is cutting-edge technology. There's a few, like a small percentage of the population that's ready for this, but I think that the fact that it is getting, it's gotten 30,000 views and several thousand downloads in the first 3 weeks is just a testament to how far this model could go. So I think it's an exciting time as an independent filmmaker. Do
you expect that you're going to get enough revenue from this source to fund your next project? Or a significant portion of it?
My goal would be to make all our money back from from Waterborne first.
Right. Okay.
But I think that the fact Waterborne, it's really been a huge stepping stone for all of our careers. I signed with ICM and I signed with Mosaic Management, and we have another script in the works. And like I said, I've just produced one other project since then. The goal would be hopefully to I've done 3 projects for about $500,000 to try and take that to the next level. And try and get these keep moving forward.
Is Waterborne available as a download, streaming video? How does that differ in terms of the technical options and the price?
Right.
If it does.
For the first 10 days of its release on Google Video, we streamed the film in its entirety, and that was part of our strategy to really open up the audience space for it. And the idea was
that was free or for
free. You could watch the film streaming on Google. It wasn't available for download for free.
Right.
The price of $3.99 has been there since the beginning. But for us, the exposure was tremendous, and sort of being there, they made Google made the announcement at the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, and so our goal was, wow, if we can get 30,000, 40,000 people to see it in the first 10 days, maybe that will lead to a higher number of downloads later. So
did you?
Yeah, it really, I think, was the right move to make. And granted, we're an independent film, and it makes sense for us to be able to do these types of things. I think a studio film that costs $100 million, it might have been a different approach. But I think that it's definitely over the course of we can keep the film on there for several months or several years even. So, and we're doing a DVD release through our distribution partner MTI. And with those two, we want to see how they help each other. So we collapsed the window to 6 weeks between when it premieres online and when you can get the DVD.
Now, this collapsing the window is all the rage now, I think. Bob Iger might have wanted to do it. Steven Soderbergh did it with Bubble, which is coming out on DVD, high-definition television, and theaters all at once. Do you care where people see your film?
I think it's really exciting what Cuban, Wagner, and Soderbergh have done. That actually look up to Section 8 and Soderbergh and Clooney's company. I respect them the highly out of anybody. And the fact that they are innovating and thinking 10 steps ahead of everyone else, I think is just a testament to how far they are revolutionizing the industry. The idea of releasing all at once has got people scared shitless, and for good reason. Maybe the exhibitors are worried that if people can watch it on cable, why are they going to come to the theater? But I think what they've done is they've looked at the model of distribution, and they've seen that the window is collapsing, and it's gone from, it used to be 18 months before it would be on DVD. Now it went down to a year, then 6 months, and I've seen films turn around in 4 months even now. And they're trying to capitalize on the marketing efforts that they've done. So to be able to release it in all 3 mediums and let the consumer decide what they want to see, I think is brilliant. It really puts a lot of trust and options in the consumer's hand. It's like, hey, we're going to release this in 3 different ways. However you want to see it is up to you. And I think that's really, really an open and fair way to do it.
So this is empowering consumers and empowering content producers.
The content producers, that remains to be seen. We'll see if that's actually, if the model's going to work. I've heard interviews with Mark Cuban as well, where he's like, who knows if this is going to work, but we're out there trying to take a step in a new direction in that respect.
Say something about the integration of Silicon Valley, its technology, its mindset, and Hollywood, its mindset and technology, and it sounds like you have one foot in each of those worlds. How do you integrate it? What's the importance of that synergy between the mindset, the money, the technology of Silicon Valley, and the mission of Hollywood to produce content?
Well, I think it's exciting what's happening now. Technology can be used in any number of ways. It can be used to make a 25-foot gorilla climb the Empire State Building, or it can be used to make a very personal podcast with one person in their camera, like Rocket Boom, doing their own show that's got 100,000 users. I think that what we're starting to see now is this it's really leveling the playing field of distribution. The fact that a show like Rocket Boom has been picked up by TiVo is just showing how the gaps are really becoming smaller. And I think that the internet is moving closer towards television, and television is moving closer towards the internet. So, maybe our kids won't even know what a television is. It'll be one and the same.
Now, there's an important concept called net neutrality, which is much ballyhooed in the telecom reform community, and it refers to the ability of internet providers, whether they're cable companies or in the near future phone companies, to unlevel the playing field that you've just talked about being leveled by this technology, so that if they're Time Warner, for example, and they're a cable company, and they have a Time Warner film and they have your film, and people want to download them both, they're going to charge you more, or as much or more than they're charging their own subsidiary that produces it, so that the advantages of technology and creativity that we've been talking about here will be obviated by the corporate control of the internet. How does that figure into your calculations, if it does?
That's actually sad to hear. I haven't heard too much about that. It's natural for the giant corporations to self-sustain and look out how they're going to integrate their own revenue streams into these new technologies. But I really think that we're at a place now where it's becoming the technological advancements are happening so rapidly that the people that are at the cutting edge of technology will find a way to innovate and work around that system. So you can put these huge restraints on it, but people always find a way to wiggle within that or without that. And so it doesn't concern me at all.
Okay, why don't you wrap up? We got about a minute left here on the significance to your career of this, and the significance of the mode of distribution that you're using through Google Video.
Absolutely. I think that pretty soon we're moving to a place where all content ever created will be instantly accessible at any time, anywhere. And when that happens, it's going to be sort of the digital age of distribution that people have been talking about for years, but it's finally starting to happen. And for a film like Waterborne, which we shot digitally, which is a forward-thinking film about like a future terrorist attack, it became sort of a word-of-mouth movie. And the same way that the virus spread through the water, it's hopefully spreading over the internet. And if this model works, it's a good sign for all independent filmmakers.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and tell us again where people who want to see Waterborne streamed, downloaded off the internet at Google Video can find it.
You can check out our website, waterbornethemovie.com. Our other company.
How do you spell
website.
Waterborne? You got 10 seconds.
Waterborne.
Right.
Or type in on Google the homepage. Just type in Waterborne, and you'll see a sponsored link pop up.
Good. Thanks very much for talking to us today on Etopia Media's Entertainment News Network.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.